Hello and welcome to another part of our Sonic Lab presentation with Tim from Nectar Technology. We've been looking at the Aruba standalone MIDI controller and sort of beat program. In fact, it says Nectarine Beat Composer here.
That's right, yep.
And actually one of the key components of that is the Nectarine plugin, which we touched upon in the first video that we shot. If you want to see more about Aruba itself and some of the features that it has, check the other video. But this we're looking a bit more about, because Nectarine is the plugin that kind of covers a lot of your hardware, as well as the Aruba. It's the Panorama and the T-Series.
Yeah, that's right. It's essentially a multi-channel plugin host. So you can host 16 instruments, 64 inserts, and 4 sends. Each one of these pads is essentially one single channel of that.
But this is being updated for the entire range. We're just demoing it here with Aruba, and this is in live.
This is in live, yep. We saw in the first video some of the live integration. What we're going to focus on next is what's not just Nectarine, but what's new specifically as well in Nectarine. And one of the first things that's new is this new layout for Aruba, which has a 16 pad array. In the first video, we loaded a drum plugin.
Yeah.
We loaded it directly from the instrument tab here.
Yeah.
That loads the instrument into slot 1. So here we load we've loaded a kick drum, the Nectar kick drum. And you'll see this loaded on every pad.
Right.
And that's because underneath it, this is important to understand, is the slots array. Each pad has a designated slot, and all of them at the moment are slot 1. If you look at the racks layout, you've only got one slot there. You've only got one slot in the rack. So that's what all the pads are currently doing. To add another slot, you can add a slot directly from the slot indicator on the pad like this, and now I can go in and add an instrument into my slot 2. Let's add the snare.
So these are two plugins that come with the Nectarine bundle.
Yeah, it's the new bundle for with the Aruba name lace. Yeah, sure. So let's look at the kick. Let's open it up, and here is the kick. We press the plug-in button. You can now play around with the parameters, add some delay, decay.
So it's like a kind of a rhythm, a drum designer plugin based around the kick.
Exactly. It does have a transient control for more attack. It has a beta level as well to give it more of like a click.
All right, yeah.
So you can get a decent sounding kick out of that. On the snare side, it's a similar thing. You see how when I press it, it updates automatically to show me the plugin. If I wanted to tune the snare, which I'm going to lock the pad. Now, let's go up actually. Now I can tune my snare against my kick, turn lock off, and then it goes back to updating automatically.
Okay, because otherwise it would automatically select. Right,
exactly
okay,
right. Yeah. So on here, with the wire noise level is very good. Gives you a great sounding snare. And then let's add a bit of extra decay in there as well, and a bit more body.
Okay.
And then all of the drum plugins have an overshoot as well, which basically is a distortion.
Right. Okay. And can you? I mean, you've loaded those plugins, so each of these slots can take a plugin or multiple stacks of plugins. So you could put effects or processing or compression or distort, whatever you might have in your plugin arsenal.
Yes, that's right.
Will it also take samples? So could you drop like a big stem or some sort of long sample to trigger on one of the pads as
well? Let's load that from Nectarine this time, because we've already seen how to do it from here. If you go to the pad setup, you can add a slot directly.
Yeah.
And then you can load, browse and load. If we're looking for a hi-hat, we can go to our patches. Okay, so our patches, any plugin or audio sample, and all of the metadata that's stored in the browser. Okay, so when you're loading an instrument into Nectarine, it's a patch essentially that it's importing.
But by the same token, you could drag a long sample and just drop it on a slot, and it would automatically load.
So let's just add a hi-hat. I can audition them live like this by using the. Let's put the open one on. Let's put a. For the sake of a quick demo, let's add a closed one for now. There we go.
Okay.
And then if you're happy with it, you load it and close the browser by going to pad setup.
But
so
that
we've
could
got
just
that.
as easily be a long one-shot sample or phrase
Yep,
or something.
good
like
point.
that.
Okay, so yes, let's do an audio sample, because this is also new with the update, is that
Right.
you can use audio samples, and you can literally just drag, or let's just take this top one here, look, drag or drop the audio sample onto your pad, and it will play out as need be.
So one shot by default, which is handy for that sort of thing.
One shot by default, yeah, or turn it off and you've got.
Right. So obviously with all of this content, I mean, have you got sort of tagging and browsing? I mean, how does that work?
So let's go to the back to the audio. We saw how we dragged an audio in sample in earlier. What's actually really useful to know is that these aren't inside Nectarine; these are references. So if we go to the tags, here we have our list of essentially our folders. Now this has come from. You can add your own path here, basically.
Right, so
But
they're
this
like
is
aliases to places
yeah,
where you keep your samples.
yeah, music samples. This is what I've added. I'm not going to add it again because it's already there. And now when I select, it's called folder mounting. So when I select a folder, only the samples in that folder become available. So it's you've got your own file structure that you've maintained yourself. Nectarine is just tapping into that essentially.
Right, okay.
And then when you want to, you can load a sample. Okay, it's a good opportunity now to look at the sampler, which is built in, which is another of our plugins, the third of our plugins, which comes with Nectarine. The sampler is what we're controlling here. You've got attack and delay. I mean, the pitch adjustment is what you're always doing.
It's just
when you're
it's a
building
regular
kits.
pitch and
Yeah.
time at the same time.
You've got some effects. You've got the 1982 effect,
Right.
which is basically a
Sort
down
of
sample.
low
8-bit
down sample.
old school
1982
samples.
specifically? You could have done 83 or 84, I would have thought.
We could. 1982
It's
was,
the one
was
for
a
you,
good
right,
year.
okay.
Yeah, every plugin should have a 1982 button.
So presumably then, you've got that. Can you drag like an effect on top of that just for that pad?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Are there more than one slot available for
Sorry,
each,
yes, you're right.
each pad?
So on the effects side, these are the built-in effects: simple compressor, two control, and EQ. If you want to add more, you can add inserts as well. And inserts are added inside the effects slots. I'm going to select effects 1, and then I'm going to browse my effects. We need to do patches, as we know plugins are listed as patches.
Right.
And then I'm going to go to a tag, and let's look for, what should we do, a delay maybe. Add a plugin. Now we have our delay
Alright.
plugin, and if I press effects 1, here's the parameters now for that
So
delay.
it picks up all the parameters from that plugin that you've loaded in. So
Exactly,
That
yeah.
could be Isotope or Zendelay or anything.
yep,
It wouldn't
yep.
matter. It would just pick up those.
Or in this case, Native Instruments replica. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. It picks them up, and it's mapped out for you. The mapping comes from. Let's call it just the Nectarine cloud, the stuff
Right,
that
and because it's
Nectar's done for you.
Been going a long time, so you got most of the things
Yeah,
already
exactly. It feeds back into the Panorama days. Lots of the plugins are already mapped. And the plugins mapping is not stored with the patch because it applies to all of the patches related to that plugin.
mapped. Right, okay.
It works against the plugin.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, so there's your delay added straight away.
And what about send effects? Have you got
Yes.
the ability to do that as well?
Effects 2 is linked straight to sends. So let's load a reverb this time. There we go.
Right, so now that's on a send.
Yes, that's right. So if I go to effects 2, so it's not going to have any. This is the effects. So this is the effect of the send. So I need to go to the mixer now and actually add some. Actually increase my
The master level. right.
my send level. So there you
Right,
go.
okay. And then that would be available to all of the patches.
Yeah,
So-
now I can do it.
How
from
many
the dump as
how
well.
many sends are there in total?
4.
Oh,
4
right, so you've
sends.
got 4 sends.
Um,
Plus you can stack
yeah.
up the... Right, okay, got you.
So, like, just in this demo, we've built up quite a complicated setup. We've added several different drums. We've added effects send. We've added an effect, an insert, and you can save all that as a multi-patch. All of that gets saved. The other thing you can save is if we go to the pad setup, you can see you can colour your pads.
Ah, right, that's
as well to whatever pad
and
you
they're
like.
full RGB, are they? So
Yeah, exactly. Full RGBs. There's 16 different colours you can choose.
So, I mean, we're looking at this connected to Aruba. If it was a panorama keyboard, for instance, each of these slots might represent a zone or a layer or a MIDI channel within that. Is that right?
You can do multi-channel performance. So layer your instruments on top of each other, and then you can zone the keyboard into
Right. Okay. So
each individual layer. So you could have a synth on your left hand.
and this is obviously
layer on your right.
with a kit. This is on a single Ableton channel. This is there a multi-channel output version of this, or how does it work?
Yes, there is. The multi-channel output is Nectarine 32, so you've got 32 outs
so then
as well.
then you could bus out however you wish.
That's right. Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
okay.
So, so we mentioned multi-patches. Multi-patches are like kits, basically.
So the entire-
You save the whole setup that we've just built here. We have some factory content
Right,
as
so
well,
okay.
which is also new for this update. Is the factory content. So you've got something you can start with. If you're just using, if you buy Aruba, you've got Nectarine, which also runs standalone on the computer, and you've got some factory content you
Right,
can
so you
start
can
with
get
that's
going.
already fine-tuned and
Gotcha.
things. You load your multi-patches from the top browser here. So let's just load the djembe drum up. So everything's sort of kind of like pre-done for you, the colours, and we've got some. Every single one of these is loaded using the DP sampler as well. So you've
Right.
got the ability to.
But you could just as
fine-tune
easily
it as
run
well.
something else inside of this that is also, you could run. Presumably, you could run like Contact Player or something into one
On
of it.
top of this,
Yeah.
yeah, you can add a contact player on top of your djembe drum, if you know.
Right. Okay. So it's
know.
quite. I mean, I guess then you're just limited by how much RAM your computer's got or how much grunt you've got because it's all adds to that, right? But with this also, there's an awful lot of parameters that we're adding. Sub parameter underneath parameter. How do we access that for automation purposes?
So everything, automation is automatically presented to the DAW. All you need to do is enable, using the DAW integration, enable automation into write mode, and then
Whatever
when
you
you play back, it will, whatever you tweak is gonna record as automation in the
Right.
DAW, basically.
Okay,
yeah.
so there's no limits there, right? So this all comes as part of the update. So if if you've already got some Nectar stuff and you use Nectarine, that's a free download, right?
That's right. Yep, it's a free download.
Whereas if you're just about to buy Aruba or any other thing, that comes with it as well.
Yep, everything's free. All of this stuff is completely free. It's part of the product that you're buying. You're buying all of the Nectar, all the clever stuff, the mapping, the plugin bundle, all of that's added.
And of course, the
as
integration
well.
with the screen and the parameters that are happening within
All of the
Nectarine.
integration is also free. It's all separate downloads in your account when you register the product. Yes.
And that's available now. There's no. We're not waiting for an update. This is it.
This is it. Yeah, this is
In
all
the world.
available now. Yeah. So existing users can go and get all this stuff now as well.
And while we're at free, what was the price for Aruba, by the way?
So in the UK, it's $289.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, prices in the UK are fluctuating a
All
bit,
over the
but
place.
$289 is the recommended.
We'll
price,
put the
yes.
dollar price under as well, just for
Yes.
those of you who are watching elsewhere. Okay, Tim, well, thanks very much for coming down and showing us Aruba and also Nectarine. Don't forget, if you want to find out a bit more about Aruba, we have actually shot another video which goes into some of those features, so do check that out. Anyway, that's it for this time. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.